You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All righty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and I'm going the solo dolo today, like we do every Sunday, here to help y'all get your start-sit questions in, help y'all get ready to rock and roll for this glorious NFL Week 3, and it should be a good one here. Lots of good matchups on the slate here, lots of fun. And we went through and we broke down all the different matchups on the Friday show, gave a bunch of different props here. This show really, it's all about you guys, helping you guys get set, ready to go for the fantasy lineups here. And make sure that we're winning some matchups here, all about that march to cash and trophies. So again, if y'all have got any questions, comments, anything like that, make sure you're throwing them in the chat, and let's get you guys rocking and rolling here and get you guys taken care of to make sure that we are getting you guys all the help you need on this one. So a couple of questions kind of coming in here, already comments as well. Terry over on the YouTube said he got offered Deontay Johnson and Javonte Williams for Mike Williams and B-Rob. I'm assuming the B-Rob is Brian Robinson, in which case, yeah, I'll take Deontay Johnson and Javonte Williams for Mike Williams and Brian Robinson. Absolutely. Sign me up, smash yes, and not even waiting for you're not even going to take a counter on that. Usually I'll typically counter, see if I can get the deal a little bit better, but I feel like that deal favors you pretty heavily already there, Terry. So take the Deontay Johnson and Javonte Williams side there. Bill on YouTube, I'm ready to go 3-0. I'm in first place, and that's a lot of smack talk is going down in my league. I'm ready to send my opponent to the basement. Absolutely, do it, right? Like, go out there, make sure that you're winning all your, winning your matchups there. Put yourself in a great position, great seeding for the playoffs there. 3-0 is a great way to get off on the start there and get that one going. I like it. Bill, Terry, good to see you guys in the chat. Pleasure as always. Stacks app saying, let's go. They're ready for some football over there. Great platform, great group of folks over there at the Stacks app. Thanks for tuning in there. We do have a question coming in here on the Twitter. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Ayuk or DJ Moore, Connor or J-Rob, Hawkinson or Everett in a non-PPR format there. That one coming in on Twitter from Bo Michael there. So, Bo, this one here is kind of an interesting one, right? Like, I can see where you might want to go with the Ayuk side of that. Jimmy Garoppolo and him have had a good connection there. The Denver matchup is actually a easier matchup for the Niners versus what DJ Moore is taking on there against Carolina. However, DJ Moore has done well in the past against the Saints there. He's had pretty decent games there, and I probably will take that side of that one. Also, some of that is Niners offense. They've been okay there. The Carolina offense hasn't necessarily been great, but DJ Moore has been getting some targets. And yeah, this is one of those that I'm almost looking at this from a, who can make a play, who can make some things go here. I'm thinking that DJ Moore can break a play better than Brandon Ayuk can. So I'm going to take the DJ Moore side in that one there. Connor or J-Rob. So from what I've seen, it looks like James Conner is still ready to go on this one, right? He's carrying that questionable tag. He's got the later matchup there. He's a game time decision. So this is one of those that's going to be a little bit of a difficult one there, but I have a feeling that your mind might get made up for you, right? James Robinson also in the later stages there. So when you're looking at it, James Conner, James Robinson, I've got for matchups, for everything going on to it, I've got James Conner ranked slightly ahead of James Robinson here on the assumption that James Conner is going to go. And with them both being in the afternoon slot, I think that makes it pretty easy for you, right? Like, take a look. Those reports are going to come out about 90 minutes before kickoff there. So you'll get that with, at least an hour before the James Robinson game, or the James Conner game kicks off at 2:25. So, or 2:25 Mountain Time, 4:25 Eastern. So at that point, right, I'm going to know heading into that whether James Conner is a full go, if he's limited, if they're going to look at a limited role to him, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to both, if he's healthy, I'd rather play James Conner than James Robinson. James Conner has the better matchup. more touch. And I think that the Cardinals are more likely to find the end zone against the Rams versus what James Robinson is going to try and find the end zone against the Chargers there. Last question, Hawkinson or Everett? Again, a great matchup there, but the fact that you might see Justin Herbert miss this game here worries me a bit. And if Justin Herbert misses, I'm scrambling and I'm pivoting across multiple Charger players there, right? Like if Justin Herbert misses, I'm still okay playing Austin Eckler, but I'm going to look to pivot across a lot of these different things. Gerald Everett would be a guy that I'm looking to pivot there from as well. So, that being the case, I actually have Hawkinson ranked higher than Everett this week. Where was it? Yeah, I've got Hawkinson kind of ranked up there, tight end 5. I think he's got a great matchup this week. Minnesota's given up a bunch of points there. I think this is going to be an incredibly high-scoring game between the two of them. And I think that this gives a plenty of opportunity for Hawkinson to fall into the end zone. Whereas I think on the other side of that, they might be a little bit more conservative play calling things wise there, lean on that defense far more than they might otherwise. So I would go with Hawkinson in that matchup. So Bo Michael, to summarize that, I got DJ Moore, Connor, if he's healthy and if he's playing. If not, I can easily pivot to James Robinson in that matchup there. And then I'm going to go Hawkinson over Everett. Thanks for the question there. All righty, we got more coming in here. Madeline over there on the YouTube. Hey, Dobbins is active. Should I start Bateman or Josh Jacobs as a flex in PPR? So again, this is one of those two that you may get the decision made for you, Madeline. Keep an eye on that because the Raiders flew Josh Jacobs out at a private flight. He didn't travel with the team because of an illness, and that's where he may miss that. From everything I've seen this morning, it says that he looks good. He's feeling good. There's still a game time decision though. So they're going to kind of work him out, see how that comes to play and how that one looks. So let's dive into this a little bit here and just kind of pull this guy up. So Josh Jacobs, early game. We should be getting reports here any minute coming out here on, whether or not Josh Jacobs is full, good to go. If this is going to be a bit of a, maneuver there. So, Madeline, let's take a look at. Yeah, I know it says that he's active. He was still questionable coming into this. Let me see if I can find something here for you real quick. So, yeah, from everything I see, it looks like he's good to go. Looks like he's going to be playing. I've got him ranked as RB21 this week. Let me pull up what I've got Bateman here. Bateman, I've got him as a wide receiver 21 ranked this week here as well. So I got running back 21 versus wide receiver 21. And typically when those things come to play like that, Madeline, I look at it from this aspect of what do I need as far as to win my matchup here. The Josh Jacobs is going to get me a better floor, safer floor on that one. So am I projected to win? And I need to make sure as a flex that I'm getting points in there. And I'm making sure that I don't take a goose egg, that I don't take a, that I'm okay taking a floor play there, right? Like if I'm projected to win, I feel good about my lineup versus lineup, matchup versus matchup deal across the rest of that. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs as the flex play there because I'm going to take the safe floor, make sure that I get points and allow the rest of my roster to do what I feel like it's going to do. If I am projected to lose, if I need a little bit of an upshot, if I need a little bit of a ceiling play in this case, I'm going to take Rashad Bateman on this one. Bateman will, I think, have the safer, the higher ceiling on this one. And so that's kind of how I would look at that. So it's one of those, Madeline, I hate to give a depends answer on that, but that's kind of where I'm at on that one. If I need a ceiling shot, if I need a, if I need a higher point total, out of that flex position, I'm going to play Rashad Bateman. If I need to make sure that I'm okay with the rest of my roster, the rest of my lineup, looking at that, I'm going to take Josh Jacobs as the flex there. So ceiling Bateman, floor Josh Jacobs is how I would look at that one. And if you have, if you want to kind of throw out your roster there, or kind of throw out whether or not you think that you're looking good for the rest of your lineup, or that, throw that out here. Let's go ahead and rock and roll through that one and make sure we get you guys set. Bill saying howdy, Bill. Bill also asking Adam Thielen or Devonte Smith, PPR. That's a good one there, right? The Detroit and the Minnesota Vikings is going to be a shootout. I do think that you're going to see a lot of that. The problem is with Thielen, we haven't really seen him involved in the he just isn't a focal point this year. Even when we see him get down and inside the red zone, which is where we've seen him continuously play very, very well and really be that end zone target and all of that, it doesn't look like that's translated over into this new one. So again, this is one of those that's back and forth, and both of these guys are ranked as a wide receiver 3 for me this week, Bill. I have Adam Thielen slightly. This is one position ahead of Devonte Smith there. So when it's looking at that, it's a little bit of a coin flip. But when I'm doing my rankings and I've got a guy slated just slightly ahead of another guy, I'm looking at that as being a little bit more of a floor play there. So I'm not overly optimistic about either one in this one, but I think Thielen probably gives you a little bit safer floor than Devonta Smith there does. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're just going to see a little bit more of a shootout there. Not going to surprise me. And the Eagles versus the Commanders, if they're going to, right, like the Eagles are perfectly content just running the ball all day and rocking and rolling that. So that's probably the way that I would lean on that. Thielen, but it's very, very slight. Kev, in the on the YouTube, who should I start at flex? Thielen, Tony Pollard, Cole Beasley. I know that Cole Beasley's kind of the hot name out there, and he's on a very, very banged up Tampa Bay wide receiver room here. I am not going to be playing a guy the first week out that isn't, regardless of how much that he may have been working out, things like that, the fact that he didn't really go through camp, the fact that he, typically takes the guys a little bit to get hit, get popped a little bit, get kind of their body in that football shape, right? Some of that comes into play. The fact that it's a new offense there. I'm okay being wrong on Cole Beasley this week is how I kind of look at that. So I am not going to look at playing Cole Beasley. Adam Thielen, Tony Pollard is where it comes down to then. So Thielen, again, I see him as a wide receiver 3 this week, and I think that she's going to have, a limited role there. But, this is one of those that is it going to surprise you at the end of the day that Adam Thielen caught 3 balls for 36 yards? No, not going to surprise me at all. Tony Pollard, on the other hand there, we could see some interesting things in that matchup. I do think that that's a lower scoring matchup there for sure. So points are going to become at a premium. But there was an interesting prop on the Friday show that we went at, and I took Tony Pollard's prop and took the over on that one. I believe it was like 18.5, 19.5 rush or passing yards on this one. So between the two, between Adam Thielen and Tony Pollard, I think the point total is going to be very, very similar there. I think Tony Pollard probably gets more opportunities this week than Adam Thielen does, but I think Adam Thielen has the better chance to get a touchdown there. So, Kev, I guess to kind of answer your question, Tony Pollard's a little bit more of a floor play, Adam Thielen a little bit more of a ceiling play on that one, as crazy as that is to say there. I think Adam Thielen has a slightly better touchdown upside here. Bob Dole, I remembered how to pronounce that one. How do I start? Who do I start? Stafford or Murray? Stafford has the weapons, but the risk interceptions. Murray can run, but the Modern Warfare beta just came out. That's funny. That is funny right there, Bob. So I'm still cracked up by that a little bit. Looking at him straight up there, I've got quarterback, and the way I've got these guys ranked, I've got Kyler QB5 this week. I've got Matthew Stafford QB8 this week. Both of them have will have pretty decent games there, right? Like you're going to be hard pressed to go wrong starting either one of those guys. I think Kyler gives you a higher ceiling than does Stafford, and a lot of that has to do with his rushing ability there. And it's not going to surprise me, especially with James Conner out or potentially out, right? He's dealing with some injury there. When you look at when James Conner plays versus when he doesn't play, I'm a firm believer that last week against Vegas, had James Conner been fully healthy and in there during those last couple of drives there, we would have seen James Conner right up the middle between the tackles, which is how Cliff Kingsbury really likes to run his offense when he's got a running back that can do that. We haven't necessarily seen what Darrell Williams or Eno Benjamin can really do in this offense, but the fact that the presence of James Conner has drastically dropped Kyler's touchdown rate from rushing over the past season or so is a little bit indicative to me to the fact that I think Kyler probably has the higher ceiling and can sneak in there for a rushing touchdown or two on a scramble there. Matt Stafford doesn't have that. However, Matt Stafford certainly has the better matchup there. So for me, it comes down to the fact that I think Kyler has a little bit higher ceiling. Stafford certainly, I think, has a safer floor here. The Cardinals have been allowing points at will to opposing quarterbacks, giving up the second most fantasy points this season to opposing quarterbacks there. So, Bob, again, it kind of a depends answer, and I hate giving those a little bit, but Stafford's the floor play for me. Murray's the ceiling play for me on that one there. So kind of take that one, look at your lineup there, see what your matchup affords you. If you feel very confident about what your rest of your lineup's going to do and you feel like, you just want the floor to play on that one, make sure that you're going to get, pretty just stable, steady position there. Go with Stafford. If you need a little bit of upside or you're feeling, you really want to pour on the points, I would go with Murray in that case. All righty. Bill saying good luck, Madeline. Absolutely. Madeline saying thank you guys. You are most welcome there. Richard over on YouTube, need 3 wide receivers to start. Waddle, McLaurin, Juju, Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore. Waddle's a smash. Yes, on this one for me. I really like Waddle's matchup there. In fact, on the Friday show, I took the over. He had a prop of 5.5 receiving receptions on that one. So I'm going to take the over on the 5.5 receptions on Waddle. I do think that he's going to get a ton of volume there. And Waddle's a guy that can kind of PPR, his way to, great fantasy output there. Like he doesn't necessarily need to get your touchdown upside. He doesn't necessarily need to get, big play type of thing in order to score there and have great fantasy days. He can flat out just, PPR point his way there. In fact, you saw that last week when he had like 19 targets, something like that. He was 11 for 19, 150 type of yards there, and the touchdowns. So, touchdowns, yards, bonuses, but absolutely, I'm going to start Waddle. I like the floor. I like the ceiling play there. McLaurin has an interesting matchup there, right? Like we just saw, I just blanked on who the Commanders are playing here. It's Philadelphia. Okay, so we just saw Philadelphia and Darius Slay kind of absolutely take Justin Jefferson and that Minnesota passing attack out of it last week. However, when you looked at that game script, you saw Kirk Cousins hone in on Justin Jefferson and force feed the ball and just force it there. And it was a little bit one-dimensional in the passing attack. I don't think that is the case here in Washington. They've got kind of that 3-headed monster there to the point where you're going to have to see Philadelphia play a little bit different scheme coverage there, things like that. You may see Darius Slay kind of work, be shifted around there a little bit, kind of play throughout that instead of kind of some of the shadow coverage we saw last week. So I like the McLaurin play there. I do think that's going to be a higher scoring game there as well. Juju, I get the intrigue there with the Kansas City move. I'm not super big on Juju here, but let's just see what I've got. I've got Juju ranked running our wide receiver 28. Brandon Cooks. Let's see what I got. Brandon Cooks here. Brandon Cooks, I got him as wide receiver 18, and DJ Moore. I've got DJ Moore ranked as wide receiver 20. So just based off my own rankings there, I've got Brandon Cooks 18, DJ Moore 20, and Juju Smith-Schuster 28. So I think your options are going to be Waddle, McLaurin, Brandon Cooks, and most of the weeks it would be DJ Moore over Brandon Cooks. I just think that they've got a better matchup there for sure. DJ Moore versus New Orleans worries me slightly. Terry, Garrett Wilson, Connor, or Zeke at flex and a half-point PPR. With the fact that I've got Connor unsure of what we're really going to expect in that in that late window. Garrett Wilson plays in the early window, and Zeke plays on Monday night. Call me crazy. I'm not a believer in the Cooper Rush led charge here for the Cowboys. I also think that is going to be a lower scoring affair. Vegas also tends to think that that's going to be a lower scoring affair. I think the over under on that one is like 38.5, 39.5, something like that one. Whereas the Jets, Cincinnati, higher scoring game there. And I think that you're going to see a little bit more of a shootout type of thing there. You're going to see a little bit more passing work there. Joe Flacco has thrown the ball, like nobody's business and thrown the ball more than anybody else out there. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson on this one. 14 targets last week. I think that some of that continues here, and I'm willing to ride that opportunity for that one. As crazy as it may seem, I never thought I'd be sitting here saying start a rookie wide receiver over Zeke, but I guess that day has come today. Bill saying, thanks, Derek. Bill, absolutely. You're most welcome. Mr. COD Reaper, good to see you back in the chat here. Just to be sure, Dotson start, bench Hardman. Again, the Kansas City passing attack, right? Like we have seen that where Mahomes, Andy Reid equal good things, typically for fantasy there. However, this year and we're seeing that play out, right? Like this was one of the shots we kind of called early on in the season was that this was going to be addition by subtraction, right? We were going to see the ball spread around far more than we ever had on this one. You were going to see it to the point where you wouldn't necessarily see a wide receiver locked in for 150, 160 targets in this Kansas City offense. This was going to be one of those that you might see a wide receiver top out at 110, and you might see a couple of them right in that kind of range there. So again, I think that Hardman is going to be that case, and there's going to be a week, right? And I'll frame it out there for you. There's going to be a week or two that Hardman makes a big splash play, gets into the end zone, scores a touchdown on it. And we see him have a great fantasy week. And we're probably going to see two of those, right? We're probably going to see where he has this big splash thing, and Mecole Hardman, fantastic best ball format there. I'm not wanting to really kind of take the shot and trying to figure out what week that is going to be. But so I do like Jahan Dotson. I think we've seen enough from him that he is going to get 5 to 6 targets in this thing. He's going to catch 3 to 4 of them. He's going to get probably 50 yards, and it's not going to surprise me to see him getting into the end zone type of thing. For whatever reason, teams have kind of been overlooking him a little bit when the Manders get into the red zone and he finds a way to score it. But to kind of further that point along there, as far as my own rankings go, I've got Jahan Dotson, wide receiver 35 this week. I've got Mecole Hardman at wide receiver 52. So it's a pretty easy, insert Dotson over, Dotson over Hardman on that one. Kev saying, word, looking good, bro. Appreciate that. Try and, spend all this time, Sunday mornings, you don't even know the routine that this thing goes through to bring you this, picture of glorious beauty, I guess is how you phrase that one. No, I'm just kidding. I roll out of bed and I check my rosters, go through my rankings here again, and I hop on to help y'all get ready to rock and roll. But Kev, appreciate the kind words there. Terry, pick 2, Brandon Cooks, Kamara, Gibson. As much as Kamara might be limited on this one, and as much as, he might see a little bit of a lesser workload there, I'm going to start Alvin Kamara right on this one. I do think that we're going to see some decent things out of this one. Kamara, was heading in here, was listed questionable. It sounds like he's going to play. He's officially active on this one, but I think that he's going to probably be a running back. I've kind of got him in that running back 18, 19 type of range there. I think that, he's probably a safer play than, Cordero Patterson type of thing. Gibson, I think we can see some sneaky upside here, but he has been very inefficient, very, very inefficient. So this is one of those that the Philadelphia has been, they've got a pretty good front seven there. So it's tough for me to like fully sign off and say that. So I think Kamara gets you a pretty safe floor there. If Gibson doesn't find the end zone for you, you're going to be, I think, very sad about the fact that you started him. Brandon Cooks, I think, gives you safer floor and a higher ceiling for sure. So Brandon Cooks, I'm going to start Brandon Cooks. I'm going to lean Alvin Kamara over Gibson on that one there. And so that's probably how I would do that, Terry. I think I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks and Kamara over Gibson on that one. Mr. COD Reaper, I guess I'm unsure about Dotson 9.11 and Hardman. Is that your projections there? I mean, that very well could be, right? But we covered that a little bit on earlier this week on some of the shows where the projections are nothing more than somebody's best guess, right? Like you've got somebody, like me that goes through and has what their projections are. They, in some of these cases, some of these sites spend lots and lots of money. They have somebody that's worked for them, develop their algorithm, develop their way of doing things. And so you're right. McCole Hardman might be projected for 13.5 or 13.6 and Dotson for 9 and 11. And let's just do this on a half PPR scoring, right? So for McCole Hardman to get to 13.6, you're almost having to pencil in a touchdown there. So that's 6 points off the bat. That puts him down to 7. So you're saying that he's going to get a touchdown off of, call it 4 receptions for 30 yards. Like that. That's really kind of what you're talking about. 4 for 30 and a touchdown gets you to that kind of 13 mark there. Dotson, you see him at 9 there, which again, call it 4 receptions for 50 yards in this case. So I think the difference that on what you're looking at for projection wise probably has Hardman falling in the end zone on less touched or less receiving yards there. I still like Dotson. And I'll phrase it to you this way, Mr. COD Reaper. If I had the choice between the two, and if this was my roster in my home league, which everybody out there that follows the show knows how important the home league is, and that's the league that we place paramount to everything else, right? If this is my home league roster and I have to roll out Jahan Dotson or McCole Hardman this week, I'm going to roll out Jahan Dotson, and I'm not going to think twice about it. I feel really good about that one. Terry R, Brandon Ayuk, or Gabe Davis. I like the Gabe Davis side on this one. I realize that Ayuk is probably folks have him ranked higher in a lot of cases, probably a little bit higher in the projections there. But I think Gabe Davis and I want that Buffalo offense over the San Francisco offense here, right? Like we haven't necessarily seen the San Francisco offense go on a bender and put up a bunch of points. We've seen the Buffalo offense put up points and points and points and points. Like they've yet to score less than 30. And I think there's a better chance that you see Gabe Davis find his way into the end zone than Ayuk. All righty. Kev, who to start at running back? Dalvin Cook, Tony Pollard, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, not even close. I get that he's been inefficient, but Tony Pollard, right? Like this is one of those that you got to take the opportunity play at this one. So Dalvin Cook has a great matchup. Detroit has allowed a lot of yards on the ground, a lot of PPR type of things there. While that offense is much improved, that defense still has some work to do on it. Tony Pollard, for Tony Pollard, a great game for him is 10 opportunities, right? He gets 10 touches type of thing. Dalvin Cook, you're going to see him probably get 10 opportunities in the first half, if not the first quarter type of thing. Well, first quarter is a stretch. you'll see Dalvin Cook put up have more opportunities in the first half than I think Tony Pollard will in the entire game. And that one, I'm absolutely going to take the guy that gets the ball more and has more opportunity there. So I like it. Dalvin Cook. I've actually got Dalvin Cook having a fantastic week this week. I see Dalvin Cook playing out, and this is maybe a little bit of a moonshot, but Dalvin Cook for me, top 10 running back this week. Tony Pollard, not even in the top 24 for me. So pretty easy Dalvin Cook for me, Kev. Terry, J-Rob, or Kamara. Man, this one's tough. J-Rob, I think we'll see more work on this one a little bit, but Alvin Kamara is going to be much more efficient. I think that you're going to see, and between the two of them, right, neither one of them have super great matchups, but I think Kamara has the better matchup there, and I'm going to take the Kamara side of that one personally. Josh saying pick 2 PPR, Christian Kirk, Michael Thomas, Gabe Davis. So Josh, on the Tuesday show, we do our pines and shines, and I called for Christian Kirk to be a pine on this one, going up against a very tough Chargers defense here. And I actually called on the Friday show for Christian Kirk to underperform his receiving totals. Receiving totals out there for his props were like 63.5. I see him doing under that. Michael Thomas, I think Michael Thomas is a very safe play this week. You're not going to surprise me if you see him catch, 5-6 balls, get 60 yards and potentially a touchdown. And I want the upside of Gabe Davis there. So I like that move there a little bit better. Personally, I would go Michael Thomas, Gabe Davis on this one. Landon, would you start Kittle or Higbee? And this is a tough one, simply from the standpoint, you got the name value of Kittle, right? But Kittle coming off of a groin injury that has sidelined him for a little bit. Denver is a prime matchup for a lot of wide receivers out there. Tight ends. Tight ends have been putting up points on bunches on the Denver Broncos. But you know who else has been giving up a monster amount of points to opposing tight ends? That's the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams playing the Cardinals this week. Higbee has the best matchup of any tight end out there on this one. And I'm going to take the guy that we've seen play and seen hit the field and has a better matchup. So as crazy as that might sound, I'm going to take Higbee over Kittle this week. And it's a PPR. Still, I'm taking Higbee over Kittle on that one. I certainly think that the touchdown upside is higher for Higbee on that one. Sigzamundo, Rashad Bateman, Brandon Cooks. I'm going to take Brandon Cooks personally on this one. I can certainly see the appeal of Rashad Bateman, but I do have Brandon Cooks ranked about 3 spots ahead of Rashad Bateman. I've got Brandon Cooks, wide receiver 18 this week. I've got Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 21. Joseph Fried, in a half-point PPR. Do I start Hollywood Brown, London, or Kirk? It's a good one. I'm going to bench Kirk personally. I do think that he and the Jacksonville offense are going to struggle a little bit against the Chargers here. I really think that the Chargers are going to step behind that defense and play. We still don't know what Justin Herbert's status is there. So I think the defense is going to be fired up, ready to go, and ready to play on that one. Hollywood Brown, Drake London. It comes, I think I want to play Marquise Hollywood Brown there a little bit more so than I want to play Drake London. I get the Drake London flash a little bit, but I've got Drake London as a low-end wide receiver 2 this week. I've got Hollywood Brown as a high-end wide receiver 2 this week. So I'm going to lean with Hollywood Brown. I think the upside is bigger there than what you've got on Rashad Bateman. Not going to surprise me if this is a little bit of a lower scoring affair versus a higher scoring affair there as well. So I'm going to take Hollywood Brown on that one. Sigzamundo, Russ, or Wentz. This is one of those that kind of another matchup that I never thought that I'd be like, oh, start Carson Wentz type of thing. But looking at it, as far as my own rankings go, I've got Carson Wentz, quarterback 12. I've got Russ, number 10. I think Russ certainly has the safer floor play on this one, but I think Carson Wentz, like we we could see this one get into a shootout out in Philadelphia. I don't think we're going to see a shootout here in Denver. So it kind of depends a little bit, Sigmundo, on what you need, right? Do you need the ceiling play? Do you need somebody that's got the chance of scoring far more points for you to try and win your matchup? Or do you need somebody that's going to get you a lot more of a floor play, get you points, get you kind of going there? You know what? The more I'm kind of talking through this thing, I'm going to adjust those rankings a little bit. And we actually just moved Russ to number 11, Russ to number 12, Carson to number 11. I'm starting Wentz. That's where I'm going. I like that. More I think about it, the more you talk me into that one. So Carson Wentz over Russ this week. Rashad Bateman, DJ Moore. Again, this is a good one. Tough matchups here. DJ Moore was Carolina. Very, very tough matchup there. Rashad Bateman having again, a little bit tougher matchup there against New England. Those two kind of play each other pretty close when they get together. And I've got them back to back in my rankings, right? I've got DJ Moore, wide receiver 20 this week. I got Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 21 this week. So it's kind of a coin flip there. I think DJ Moore gets you a safer floor. I think that Rashad Bateman probably has a better ceiling play this week, especially. I think Rashad Bateman has the ceiling play, DJ Moore floor play there. So kind of a coin flip for me there, Richard. But again, that's one of those that you're going to look at your lineup. You're going to see what you need. Do you need somebody that's going to get you? I think DJ Moore has a safer floor, meaning that they're safer points there. That you're probably not going to roll a goose egg there. With that Baltimore offense, you could easily see this become a Mark Andrews week. We could see Lamar just run the ball and really give the Patriots fits on the ground there. J.K. Dobbins coming back there. So there's the potential that you see a lower point total out of Bateman, but there's also the potential you see a higher point total. DJ Moore, safe floor. That's kind of how I'd roll that one. So depends on what you need there, Richard. Sigmundo, Rashad Bateman or Henderson. Last one. Doesn't have to be the last one, guys. You got questions, throw them out here. Let's go ahead and keep rocking and rolling through these things. All right, so Rashad Bateman, we've got him as the wide receiver 21 is how I see that. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Darrell Henderson. And Hendy, let's see here. Darrell Henderson, running back 25 this week. So I think I like the Rashad Bateman move a little bit more there. But again, Rashad Bateman, definitely a ceiling play there. Darrell Henderson should get you some very, very safe points on that one. So Henderson floor play, Bateman ceiling shot there. Because Henderson, right? Like Darrell Henderson's not going to be if Cam Akers is healthy and is playing, Darrell Henderson's not going to set the world on fire. If Akers misses time, Darrell Henderson is a fringe RB1 every week on that one there. But it's pretty safe to see Darrell Henderson go out there and get between 10 and 15 opportunities and see anywhere from 45 to 60 total yards there, right? And if he falls in the end zone, it's upside there. Rashad Bateman. So that's where you kind of make your play there too, right? Rashad Bateman. I don't know that we necessarily see 60 total yards there. I think it's probably safe to see him 4 or 5 receptions for about 55 yards and potentially a touchdown there. And that's where that's going to play, right? That's why I say Bateman's a ceiling shot. Henderson's a floor shot. Henderson will get you 50 to 60 yards. So in even in a standard league there, right? If you're looking at that, you're talking 5 points. Bateman could potentially get you double-digit points. Bateman could also get you, 3 or 4 points there. So that's kind of how I would look at that one and kind of go through that one there. So Bateman ceiling, Henderson floor. All righty, guys. Next question coming in. Maddox, Nelson Aguilar or Dameon Pierce at the flex. That one there, Nelson Aguilar is certainly the ceiling play on that one, right? He had a pretty good game last week, had the long touchdown pass or touchdown reception there. Dameon Pierce is certainly going to be the floor. So Maddox, I would lean towards Dameon Pierce in my own lineups there for a flex, but I can certainly see the upside and the play for Nelson Agholor there, especially since it looks like that New England wide receiver room going to be missing some guys there. I believe it was Jacoby Myers is going to be out, so you could see Agholor play a little bit more in the flex on this one. I could see that one play there. So that's probably where I'm going to go. If I need floor play, it's a Dameon Pierce thing. If it is ceiling play that I need at the flex and I need the upshot on points, it's going to be Nelson Agholor. Joseph, also thoughts on Aaron Jones? I have in a few leagues. Are you reading out of or trading out of him? I'm still not. I'm still a little bit, probably a little bit bigger believer in Aaron Jones than a lot of other folks are out there. Week one, I'm going to take that as a throwaway game. Last week we saw a great game from him. Granted, it was against the Bears, and the Bears have had issues stopping the run there a little bit. But one thing about Aaron Jones is he's highly, highly efficient to the point where he's not needing a ton of touches in order to have great fantasy weeks for you, right? He's also got PPR upside there. He's also got touchdown upside there. And we've seen Aaron Jones consistently kind of finish RB1 over the course of a season without necessarily needing the volume that a lot of these other running backs do in order to get there. So I like Aaron Jones on a lot of my rosters there. But the rosters that I'm using him on, and I've got him on, I'm typically using him as like running back 2, running back 3, flex type of play range there. So I really like him, especially as a flex. I like him pretty well as a running back 2 there. So Joseph, it very, very much depends on what the offer is that I'm getting on Aaron Jones. If I'm getting some guys that I can get back, that it adds some depth to me, I'm not taking a huge step down there, things like that. Or if I'm packaging him and somebody else to go get a guy, like I'm okay trading out of Aaron Jones. I'm just not going to necessarily trade out of him to trade out of him type of thing. Sebastian, Ramondre Stevenson or Dortch in half-point PPR. You guys are throwing some really good ones out here today. So my co-host Alex would tell you that it's Greg Dortch all day long because of the fact that he called for Dortch to be his shine, shine on the Tuesday show there. And I think that we've got another floor versus ceiling play here. Greg Dortch, would it surprise you if he finishes with 4 receptions for 40 yards? No, I think that's probably about where his floor is. Would it surprise you to see Ramondre Stevenson, go out there and get 10 to 15 opportunities on this one? That's probably about where we're looking at. So you're going to see Ramondre Stevenson get 10 to 15 opportunities probably, and somewhere around 50 total yards on this one, right? And I think that floor is much safer than what Dortch is. However, that being said, Dortch, I think, gives a lot more upside from a touchdown perspective there. He's a much more risky play there. So, Sebastian, it very, very highly depends what you need there. If you need ceiling shot, Dortch is your guy, because, also well within the realm of possibilities as Dortch goes, 5 receptions, 6 receptions, 60 yards and a touchdown, right? Ramondre Stevenson, I don't think we're going to see him get into the end zone. So I think that you're going to be banking on the fact that you're going to get 5 to 6 points out of him in a half-point PPR type of league. Whereas Dortch, you could get 4 points out of him, but you could also get 12 points out of him. And that's kind of where that comes to play. And the reason I'm kind of bring those up and I frame this question to you this way in a half-point PPR is if you feel very confident on what your roster is going to do on that, and you feel very good about the matchups, you're projected to win in win and going away, I'm going to make sure I don't take the goose egg there, and I would start Ramondre Stevenson. If it's a game in which I'm trailing, it looks like I'm going to need some catch-up power, some upshot on that one, and I'm going to need points, and points are going to come at a little bit of a premium in that matchup. I'm probably going to go with Dortch and take the ceiling shot and take the upside there. So Ramondre Stevenson, wide receiver 3 for me this week. Dortch is a wide receiver 4 with wide receiver, like fringe wide receiver 2 type of upside. So I could see him potentially getting up there and coming close to that, like wide receiver 23, 24, 25, kind of in that range there. But it all depends on the touchdowns there. So that's kind of how I would roll that one. Alrighty. Thoughts on Metcalf. So Metcalf is going to be a great great floor play for you each and every week, right? Geno Smith kind of locks in, targets him, and it's really not surprising to it's really not surprising to see DJ Metcalf go out and get 6-7 receptions on that. But this is not the problem is that this is not the Russell Wilson days, right? Like Geno Smith is not a guy that's going to drive the ball down the field, going to put it into a position where DK Metcalf can catch a long ball, make a guy miss, or kind of catch one going across and make a guy miss, and you see him just take off to the races, right? Like that's not the style of offense that we're going to see out of Seattle, unfortunately, right? So thoughts on DK for redraft? If I can potentially move on and get something better there, I'm going to do it. Dynasty, though, I'm hanging on to him for sure, right? Like this is, I doubt that Seattle is going to continue to run out, the prospects of Geno Smith and Drew Lock week in, week out in the years going forward. I think that's a, that's just not going to happen here. So DK Metcalf, great floor play, but I am worried about his upside. I'm worried about, where his fantasy finish this year will be. So I think there is certainly some of that there. So if I can move him and I can upgrade there a little bit and I can play off some of that name power, I'm going to do it. But if not, he is a great kind of wide receiver 2 in the mix for me. And I know that I've got a pretty consistent floor there with some upside. We Talk Sports. Y'all are an underrated fantasy football YouTube channel. Enjoy y'all's content. Keep being great. We Talk Sports. We will. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the kind words there. Start sit Dawson Knox versus Miami. Logan Thomas versus Philadelphia. I kind of like the Logan Thomas move here. I think. Let me just pull up my rankings here. I've got Logan Thomas ahead of Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox, again, right? This is one of those that preseason, right? Like nothing's really changed from the Dawson Knox side of things, right? Like folks were incredibly high on Dawson Knox coming into the season, drafting him as the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th tight end off the board. And our preseason content told you that was too much of a swing for him because he is a touchdown dependent type of tight end. Buffalo, though, scores points in bunches. And, would it surprise me to see Dawson Knox fall into the end zone? Absolutely not. I think that he does have some touchdown upside, but you're going to see very limited there where a great Dawson Knox usage is going to be 5-6 targets on a game. Like that's a high volume week for Dawson Knox. Whereas Logan Thomas and this Commanders offense, he's been seen consistently 6 targets on these things. 5-6 targets. Dawson Knox, you've been seeing like 3 targets, 5 targets. It's a little bit more hit or miss there. And I think that you certainly are getting a better floor there. I think that Logan Thomas, again, gives some touchdown upside there. So in the land of touchdown dependent type of tight ends, which I think both of these guys are, I like the Logan Thomas move a little bit more so there. It's not going to surprise me that as much as Miami looked really good last week and had that furious comeback and all of that, this Bills defense is built completely different than that Buffalo or the Buffalo defense built completely different than what you saw that Ravens defense at. And even that banged up Buffalo secondary on that one, that pass rush is legit. It is real. I I think that you're going to, I think that game is going to get out of hand here a little bit, to the point where you're going to see Buffalo, not going to surprise me, a score of Buffalo 32, Miami 14 type of thing in that one. So you could see a little bit less passing work on that one. Whereas Philadelphia, the Manders, I think that's going to be a little bit closer. And I think that one's going to end up having a higher point total. So I like that one. That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Logan Thomas over Dawson Knox on that one. Guys, I think that's going to start bring us down here to the end of it. Throw out any questions, right? We'll make sure that we hit every question in the chat, get you guys going, get you set there, but make sure that you're throwing those things out there before I sign off here. Air White over on Twitch. Thanks for tuning in over there on Twitch. Sutton, London, Gibson, Wilson, half point PPR. Again, this is one of those that some really good matchups here. Gibson is touchdown dependent for me. He's been highly inefficient. I think he'll get some good opportunity there, but I am not a believer in Gibby tremendously this week. And my ranking on him is more of a volume-based type of thing than I feel really good about starting him type of thing. So in a full PPR, Sutton, London, Wilson, right? Let's take a look at these things. Cortland Sutton, I've got ranked as wide receiver 11 this week. I think that this is the week that he does find the end zone. Russ has been targeting him, been doing some big things there. I like that call a lot. And I think that Sutton is going to have a great game. Drake London, got him as the wide receiver 29. So I think that he's got some decent upside there. I think you'll see some decent volume there. But between the Broncos offense, the Falcons offense, I still like Sutton better on this one. Garrett Wilson is a very, very intriguing play there. And Garrett Wilson, I've got a little bit ahead of, I've got him right back to back with Drake London there. So again, volume wise should be there. Cincinnati, you could see this be a little bit of a higher scoring affair there, but Sutton by far and away is going to be my start between all of those guys for sure. So I got Sutton locked in. Time to pick the second one. London, Gibson, Wilson. I'm going to take the Garrett Wilson side if I need upside. I'm going to take the Gibson side if I need a floor. And so what I mean by that, when I say that, if I am going to be in a tightly contested race there where I have to make sure that I'm getting points, and it's and the rest of my matchup, I feel better, the rest of my lineup versus their lineup, I feel better about the rest of my guys being consistent, putting up points there. And I'm just trying to make sure that I don't, that I don't put up a goose egg, that I don't put up a lower, I put up a steady point total there. I think Gibby gets you that. So Gibson's a floor play. London, Wilson, coin flip it for a ceiling play. But at that point, I'm going to take the higher scoring game between the two of those, which I think will be Cincinnati and the Jets. And I think there's more passing volume for Garrett Wilson than Drake London this week. So that's how I would do that. And I would rank it that way for you. I would go Sutton, Gibson, Wilson, London for a floor play. I would go Sutton, Wilson, Gibson, London for a ceiling play is how I would look at that one. All righty. We talked sports. Thanks for the great observation. I was thinking along the same lines as well. Great minds think alike. Maxis Myth over on YouTube, start one at running back 2. So you got running back 2 there, Ramadre, Etienne, Edmonds. Wow, you guys are throwing some tough ones in the chat today, and I like those. Part of the reason this one's tough is I was so high on Travis Etienne going into the season, and I am very disappointed by the usage that we've seen out of that one and all of that. However, there's a much better chance that we see Etienne get a lot more usage in this week than we've seen in the past. I do think that you're going to see Jacksonville trailing in this one. Etienne has been the kind of the passing down work there. So I could see that. The Edmonds side of things, right? Like when Kevin and I were talking on the Friday show about this matchup between the Bills and Miami, he and I it wouldn't surprise if Miami has less than 15 rush attempts outside of Tua. right? Like you throw Tua in there, it'll bump that total up there because I think he'll get some scrambling yards, things like that. But as far as actual running plays on this one, not going to surprise me if we see Miami have less than 15 total on that one. So at that point, I'm trying to bank on Edmonds being a PPR type of shot. I'm not necessarily wanting to bank on that one. So Edmonds is going to be my third guy that I'm probably looking at here. Between those, Ramadre, I think gives you a very safe floor. We kind of talked about Ramadre a little bit ago in the chat here and in the stream here, where if I've got Ramadre, I'm playing him for the 10 to 15 opportunities that he's going to get during the game, and I'm going to play him to get 45 to 60 total yards there. Maybe he gets in the end zone, maybe he doesn't, but floor play in a half-point PPR, I'm probably looking 5 to 6 points for Ramadre Stevenson. Travis Etienne, I think, gives you the better ceiling play, especially this week here. So I could see that one there. And Chase Edmonds, I'm not going to bank on the fact that we don't see, again, a massive split between him and Raheem Mostert. So ranking them, it depends. Edmonds is the last guy I'm putting in there. If you need a floor play again, so you're right, you need to make sure you get points, I'm putting Ramadre Stevenson in there. If I'm going for the ceiling shot, it's Travis Etienne on that one. And that's how I would roll that one, Maxis. So Air White saying that was the best answer provided by a streamer. Thanks so much. You are very welcome, Air White. Again, guys, one of the best ways to help us help you is we do the live streams 3 times a week. Friday nights 11 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights 11 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday mornings 11:30 a.m. Tuesdays and Fridays it's me and Kevin, and Alex is certainly with us when the JOB isn't calling there. And then Sunday mornings it's me here in the chat and in the stream helping y'all out there. But give us a follow over there on Twitch. Give us a subscribe over there on the YouTube. Some of the best ways to help this independent podcast out there. All in one show, Higgins, Davis, or Thomas. T. Higgins, Gabe Davis, Michael Thomas. All right, so with that, I'm going to just rank them up for you, 1, 2, 3 on who I would go with there. And let's just kind of take a look here at my rankings, see what I've got here. Let me pull those up here real quick. Michael Thomas, I've got him as wide receiver 16 this week. T. Higgins, wide receiver 14 this week. And Gabe Davis, wide receiver 17 this week. So you've got a bunch of wide receiver 2s as far as my rankings go there. T. Higgins, 14. Michael Thomas, 16. Gabe Davis, 17. And that's how I would rank that one for you. Certainly a tough call, though. T. Higgins, I could see being a little bit more boom bust on that one. The Jets have been a little bit difficult against their bottom half and points allowed to opposing fantasy wide receivers there. The Panthers are one of the hardest teams for wide receivers to go up against. They're ranked 27th against opposing ones there. And Gabe Davis playing against the Dolphins have been tough too. With the 25th there. So matchup wise, it even kind of looks there that T. Higgins has the better matchup. Then Gabe Davis has a slightly better matchup than Michael Thomas, but I still like the floor better for Michael Thomas there. So T. Higgins, Mike Thomas, Gabe Davis is how I'd rank that one for you all in one show. Cash Silas, good to see you back in the chat there, Cash. Pick 2, Sutton, Gabe Davis, Lockett, London, Mike Williams. Sutton is a smash yes for me this week. Cortland Sutton, I've got him ranked wide receiver 11. I think he's going to be doing great this week. Gabe Davis, wide receiver 17. Tyler Lockett. Let's see where I've got Lockett. Lockett is wide receiver 3 territory. And let's see on Mike Williams here. Mike Williams, I've got him as a wide receiver 1 there as well. The one thing that does slightly concern me about Mike Williams is tougher matchup. Jacksonville has has been actually fairly decent against opposing wide receivers this week. And so there is some of that. But I do have Mike Williams as a wide receiver 1. So if I've got to pick 2 based off of my rankings, I'm going to go Mike Williams. I'm going to go Cortland Sutton. And I kind of like that. But there is a lot of risk associated with Mike Williams this week and that Justin Herbert injury there. Cash also asking, and do you think I should play Dobbins or Ramondre Stevenson today? I would love to tell you to play J.K. Dobbins just because of the fact that, I really want to see him do well, and I really want to see him come back on this one. But I am always leery playing a guy fresh off of a massive injury on this one, right? And this is one that he's kind of battled back. There's been a few setbacks there, things like that. I want to see what J.K. Dobbins looks like on the field today, and I want to see what he plays like today. I want to see what the pitch count looks like. I want to see what if they're going to limit him a little bit there. I want to see how they're going to utilize him and how he looks on the field there. So as much as I want to tell you to play J.K. Dobbins, Cash, I can't do it. There's too much risk associated with that one there. And so again, if this is my lineup and I'm going about it that way, I'm going to advise you on the way I would set this thing. So I would go with Ramondre Stevenson in this case, and I would have to tell myself going into that matchup, I'm okay being wrong on not playing J.K. Dobbins this week if he has a monster game, right? Because of the fact that everything that I've done over all my years playing fantasy and all of the things that I've done there lead me back to guy coming back from injury, especially a major injury like an ACL. I want to see what he looks like on the field before I'm playing him over somebody that I've seen on that and somebody that I know is going to get me decent points, right? Like Ramondre Stevenson, it's simply been very safe that we're going to see 10 to 15 opportunities for him, 45 to 60 yards. So I feel very confident in the fact that I'm going to get 5 to 6 points out of Ramondre Stevenson this week. That's just kind of where we're at there. J.K. Dobbins, he could have a blow-up game. I'm not going to, deny that. But there's also a chance that he goes out there and they've got him on a pitch count where he's, only getting so many opportunities there. I would probably not roll that one there. So as much as I want to tell you, JK, I'm going to go with Ramondre on that one. Yvette on YouTube, with Kamara just coming off of questionable status, should I replace Michael Carter with him? Yeah, that's a tough one too, right? Like there's a lot of that I'll tell you some of that depends a little bit, right? Kamara certainly has the higher ceiling on that one, right? Like Kamara can absolutely dominate when he's playing, right? Jameis also a little bit banged up there. The divisional matchup between the Saints and the Panthers is always a tough one. Those two play each other incredibly tough. So Michael Carter, this is one of those that we started to see the shift in week 2 where Breece Hall was far more involved. So this is a tough one for me. It's going to end up being a depends answer. So if I need a floor play, I'm going to go with Michael Carter on this one, right? Like I'm going to take the guy that's not carrying around a questionable designation, that wasn't a game time decision coming into it, that kind of stuff. So if I feel very confident about my matchup and that I can win with the floor play on that one, which is what Michael Carter would be, right? I want to make sure that I get 5, 6, 7 points out of that flex type of spot there or whatever that looks like on that one versus Alvin Kamara, who could go out there and, I think he's got probably a similar floor to it, but he's also more risky on that one. But he had the ceiling for Alvin Kamara far greater than what Michael Carter is there. So Kamara is my ceiling play. Michael Carter is my floor play. If it's me personally, I'm probably going to play Kamara just because I'm willing to take that risk on him this week. But that is a decision that is not going to be for the faint of heart. So I'm gonna tell you, Carter's your floor play, Kamara's your ceiling play, and it's going to depend a little bit on how you feel about the rest of your matchup. Looking at that one, Mike, what can I expect out of James Conner? If he goes, right, he's still questionable to go. James Conner, just like last year, right? He's a touchdown dependent type of running back there, but I think that you're going to be able to get a very safe floor out of him. I'd feel okay about starting Conner if he is actually ready to go, but we're going to get more information about 90 minutes out on that one. So, Mike, it really depends on what your other options are, right? If your other option are only playing in the early games and the early slate of games, and I've only got James Conner in the late slate of games, and I don't have anybody else that I could pivot to in the late slate or a Sunday night game or a Monday night game, I'm not going to be looking at going with James Conner on that one. Cash saying, appreciate it as always. Do you think Herbert will play today? I'm just going to play Mariota to be safe. I'm doing that in one of my own leagues, Cash. And in one of my super flexes, I've got I've got Lamar, I've got Herbert in that league. Like, for whatever reason, both of those guys fell to me in a super flex. And then I picked up Mariota late. I'm going to personally play Mariota over Herbert, just from the standpoint, I don't know what that's really going to look like on this one. Those ribs are an incredibly painful thing to do. And if he takes a shot or two, like that's one of those that kind of concerns me a little bit. Like, do they kind of go to the backup there, play that one? So I think Herbert plays, but I think that they're going to do everything they can to game script it so that he's not having to, really, not really have to take shots, things like that. So I think we're probably going to see a little bit more check down type of thing. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Austin Eckler this week. So I'm personally also pivoting to Mariota in that one, and I'm willing to be wrong on that one. Nathan over on YouTube, half point PPR, choose to James Robinson, Allen Robinson, Jeff Wilson, Marquise, Hollywood Brown. Thank you. James Robinson, incredibly tough matchup. Allen Robinson, Cardinals, they've got a better matchup there. That one. Jeff Wilson, the Broncos have been a little susceptible against the run there. Hollywood Brown. All right, looking at this thing, let's dive into this one. James Robinson, I am kind of adverse James Robinson this week with that matchup that he's got. I really think that you're going to see the Chargers be inspired playing defense this week. Allen Robinson, we've seen him kind of utilized and targeted more in week 2. I'm still not necessarily a believer in that matchup yet. Jeff Wilson, I think, is a play for you for certain on this one. Marquise Hollywood Brown, I've got him as a fringe wide receiver 1. Jeff Wilson, let me pull up Jeff Wilson here. Jeff Wilson, man. I think between those ones, I'm gonna go with Jeff Wilson and Marquise Brown is how I would play that one there. So there's some risk adverse, there's some risk in there, but I think that Jeff Wilson and Hollywood Brown both give you the safest floor, and they probably give you the best ceiling in there as well. Yvette saying, appreciate your insight. Thanks. You're most welcome. My pleasure. Guys, I think that's going to do it for us today. Nathan saying, appreciate it. You are most welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Guys, again, one of the best ways to support this independent podcast is head over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, hit the like button on the videos. Appreciate all the comments and the interactions. We go live on the YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Tuesday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern, Friday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern, Sunday mornings, 11:30 a.m. Eastern on there as well. Mike saying, thanks, great stream. Appreciate all the kind words. Appreciate all the interaction, guys. Love doing this. Love, hitting it up, answering the questions, helping you guys try and bring home cash and trophies for your fantasy seasons here and fantasy rosters here. So let's see what we can do on this one. Again, if you guys have any questions in the meantime, you can hit us up on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. Website, goodoldboysff.com has the rankings on that. We also got the waiver wires rankings that come out like Monday night, Tuesday for you. Help you guys out with that one there as well. But guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for us. Again, do us a favor, head over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave the comments, all those good things there. YouTube's also a great way to get in contact with us, to ask all your questions, things like that. We'll try and respond as quick as we can for that one for y'all. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I'm Derek from the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Y'all have a good one.